back in 2020 when you announced that Coinbase was going to be a mission-driven company. And what that means for, my family members who don't understand startup stuff, that means that basically your company is going to focus on achieving its mission, working on the product, and it is explicitly not going to engage in broader societal or political issues. And at the time, that was very controversial. And you said, if you're an employee and that's not what you want, we will help you find a new job, but that's the way it's going to be. 3 years later, did it have any sort of long-term measurable effect at this point that you can talk about, or were there any drawbacks? Because I'll tell you why I'm asking. Paul told me just yesterday when we were talking about this podcast that, a lot of founders he's talking to in Silicon Valley, many are de facto doing what you're doing, but they're just not announcing it publicly.
Yeah, I do think that we were early on that trend, and subsequently others have followed it, and generally it's worked really well. I think, by the way, it's better to just follow it and you don't have to make a big announcement about it. I didn't really want to make an announcement about it either, but unfortunately we did because we were having internal conflict, and we actually had like an employee walkout that happened over one of these controversies that was happening in the world. And so it was like literally people just weren't coming into work. It was a huge distraction. And I realized at that point I had made a mistake as a leader, which is that I had not been clear with everybody about the type of company we were going to be and what we were going to focus on. And so I think you can actually have both kinds of companies. I know there are lots of companies that do choose to engage in all these societal issues. I personally think it's a distraction from the company. It potentially makes it even a lot less successful. I think if you look at what happened like with Google, for instance, and OpenAI, part of the reason that Google apparently had a lot of this technology internally, and they just weren't releasing it because they were afraid of societal backlash. And, it's actually arguably put them in an existential risk now versus OpenAI. So I think it's quite dangerous to have activists infiltrate the company and hold it hostage to whatever their ideals are. You have to be clear with people about what the company is about and just move towards that. So this was a leadership lesson for me where I was kind of walking on eggshells around a lot of these issues. I was not really sure how to respond to people. A lot of these issues are very complex. I don't even really know what the solution would be, and reasonable people could disagree on it. But by sort of avoiding the issue, avoiding conflict, not being clear, I was allowing this lack of clarity to fester within the organization. And we had a divide. Some people felt like, okay, well, we're here to create economic freedom in the world with crypto. We should just be focused on that. Other people felt we actually have a responsibility to engage in these broader issues, and the walkouts, the tension, everything. So what I had to do was, since I wasn't clear up front, I had to remedy it, make it clear. We did help employees move on who were not in line with it. And to your question about, what's been the impact of that now over the last few years, there's a few pieces we can quantify, but most of it is anecdotal. I will just tell you up front. So Anecdotally, I think it feels much better. The company is more aligned. We are making good progress towards our goals. There is not a lack of clarity. There's not infighting. The workplace is kind of a refuge from the division that's out there in the world, where people respect each other, and lots of different people from lots of different backgrounds are welcome at Coinbase. We all, focus on the work, and we know that we each have different things we're interested in outside of work. That's totally fine. And also, I have to say my job as CEO is a lot better in the sense that, if I go do a Q&A with the employees, I'm not sort of being held hostage at the microphone with somebody asking me an impossible question about society, which I don't personally have a solution to.